Okay, and welcome to Full Moon in Virgo on March 26th, 2021. We're in the 13th mansion again for the last time, hopefully. We're going to move on. The mansion is auspicious for friendship and for healing. And the focus that we're going to use for that is a balance focus, because the full moon coming up is in Libra, which is about the scales, and that's balance. So we're going to have that in mind. And one of the best ways for anybody to really balance themselves is to connect with the divine. So tonight we're going to be doing a bit of a candle ritual in which we will connect with the goddess. We'll do some contemplation. We'll connect with the elements a little bit, and just revitalize for tonight and for the month to come as the moon gets to the fullness and then goes beyond and begins to wane again. We will have the goddess and the god with us. So I'm going to begin by making sacred space and by purifying. Instead of sage tonight, I'm going to use sound. So in the bell, the sound, sound is a pure energy that clears the air and clears our senses. So we'll just simply ring this 3 times. And as you hear the bell, you can breathe and feel things falling away and clearing. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
And then with Athame in hand, we are in cyberspace, so the shape does not matter, but we create a circle of connection between the 3 of us and all of you who may be watching this. We forge a circle in this virtual cyberspace to reconnect with each other and with the divine. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
And then we acknowledge the elements. To begin, we'll begin with air, and let's simply take a deep breath and release it. The air, the elementals, they bring us inspiration, the breath of life, and knowledge. We invite you to come and be with us in this rite. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
For the element of fire, I feel warmth. In fact, I feel warm enough in my room right now that I've actually got the fan on the floor. But we have the warmth of our bodies, the warmth of our breath, our desire to connect with the goddess, which is what we're about tonight. And so we ask the element of fire to be with us in this rite. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
For the element of water, and here I have a glass of water, I'll just kind of hold it up. Water is our blood. What's that chant that I always have trouble remembering? Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. So with water flows through our veins, flows from the ocean, from the rivers, and has to do with change. So we invite water to come with us and to change us and to move our hearts closer to the divine in our rite this night. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Then with both feet planted firmly on the floor, we can think of the connection between the floor and what's underneath and underneath and underneath, and then finally the ground somewhere down there, the earth. We are planted on the earth, our ground, our stability, our strength. We invite earth to be with us in our right. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
I have stored on my Pinterest page. This is my pagan learning page where I throw anything that I find there that I think might be good to share with a ritual or with one of my classes. This is simply called Ode to the Goddess, and it's really kind of a nice one for spring. Maybe you were outside in the warmth today, and tonight we want to connect with her. We want to connect with the God. We want to feel closer to the divine. Ode to the Goddess. Whispers in the wind, sun shining bright. The goddess calls to me, her presence in clear sight. Her gentle, warm caresses, her loving, warm embrace, her ever-loving nature for which I cannot replace. I seek her help for guidance. I know she's always there. When I'm feeling alone and lost, I know she'll always care. My life is for the goddess. My path is true and clear. I'm at peace with the goddess. She'll never show me fear. Goddess, we ask you in all of your many names to come with us, to be with us in our right, to come to our hearts, to come to our spirits and bless us. Hail and welcome.
Hail
and welcome.
I don't have a comparable one for the God that I have handy, so we'll just kind of, I can go with this. Lord of our land, Lord of the sky and the winds and the ground and all elements, God of nature, the green man, and your many names. You come to us, you come with the goddess to embolden our hearts, to make our paths clear and strong, to help us as we walk along our path to union with each other and with you. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Then I sheath my apame. Light. I light a candle for the God and the goddess. Light brings warmth, brings fire, brings direction, brings guidance. It brings magic. One of the forms of divination that many people practice is fire scrying. You can gaze into a fire like if you have a firebowl, or simply gaze into the flame of a candle. And as you gaze, you imagine that your third eye is opening and you begin to see with two eyes, three eyes actually. You begin to communicate with your higher self, your divine, with your subconscious self. And images may come forth, or thoughts may come forth, or even sounds or images may come forth. And so what we're going to do on our paper today is a little bit different than we normally do. We're going to take some time to gaze at our candle. And as we are doing so, we are considering our connection. We want the blessings of the God and the goddess. We wish for those. We hold that wish and that desire in our hearts as we gaze into the candle flame. And as we spend time focused on that in silence, we may begin to listen to them communicating to us in the flame. Could be an image. And after we have hopefully received something, and it could be as simple as a shape, maybe a rune, maybe a word, maybe even just a letter. Just a letter. Maybe you see the letter L and you think of love. You see the letter B, you think of balance or something like that. So whatever it is, and we will have a little discussion if we're not sure what it might represent. We can help each other to see that or to give each other ideas. And then that message we will write on here. And we will also write a message back. So this is a little communication task that we will do with the divine, with our higher self, with our divine within, the divine without, as above, so below, as within, so without. So for a few moments with your candle in front of you. Now, I also selected a spell candle. I think I'm going to use this one instead of this is my altar candle for the God and the goddess. But this one, and I chose purple because purple is a sacred color that represent one of the correspondences is to the divine. So you can think of purple as a color connecting. It's a royal color connecting to the God and the goddess simultaneously. White also works for that purpose. So I will light my little spell candle. And then for a few moments, like a minute. Of course, I got to get this thing to stand up straight. There we go. Let us look into the candle flame and see what we may see. So mote it be.
Mote it be. Mote it be.
So on my card, I have drawn the flame, and then I have drawn the image that came to me. And it's a strange phenomenon, but you can actually see heat. Have you ever seen heat?
The
Have you
colors.
ever seen like a close? You can see it like if you look off to the side, you can actually see waves
Mm-hmm.
in the air. Am I making any sense at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen that, Cassie? Mine looks
Yes.
something like this. See if I can get that up there. And waves always make me think of the ocean or water. And so I think, what would that represent? What is that saying to me? Well, water represents change, and it also represents movement. So it's, for me, I feel like it's like an invitation. Move closer to the divine. I think the God and Goddess are pleased by our efforts.
I think it's funny when you say that because that's the exact thing that I did.
We are in sync.
I even put the colors that I saw.
Yep. Tell me about the colors.
When I lit it, you see the big, the flame is shooting. I mean, it's like the wick isn't even that long, and the flame is literally like this big. And inside it, it's standing straight up, slowly, occasionally rocking back and forth. But inside it, you can see a darker color. So you've got the white that's shooting straight up, and then inside it, you see green. And around the green, there is an orange layer. And then at the bottom, where you see the heat coming out, it's blue. And that's what's dancing around it. And you see the blue coming and it's burning part of the orange away. And and it only happens when it tries to teeter back to the left or right. But for the most part, it's just doing straight, as it's trying to decide if it wants to stay in unison or not. And for me, the blue, you talked about it being movement, and it's trying to find what movements keep it in balance, keep them aligned together.
Reminded of the chant, we all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain falling to the ocean.
Mm.
How about you, Stevana? Did you
Yeah, you're right the first time, Savannah. I always have trouble with this. I don't really see a lot with candle scrying. I did see kind of just a rainbow of colors, and then within the bright, I saw the dark. And
it may not be something that you see, but was there anything that occurred to you? Any thought that came through?
not really. I always have trouble with
It
this.
takes practice. It takes practice. I've done a lot of scrying. You know, at first you're like, what am I supposed to be seeing? What am I supposed to be thinking? You know, you think about thinking, you know.
Mhm.
It takes practice to get to the point where you can just clear your mind, and then anything can come up.
Mhm.
You know, I thought of the word movement,
Mhm.
you know, and when I think of movement, I think of going toward. And we really have to trust our imagination. You know, a lot of people think imagination has to do with fantasy, things that are not real, but imagination comes from deep within, comes from our subconscious. Have you ever had a vivid dream that had all these things going on, and you then you wake up and you, whatever you can still remember of that, you're like, wow, that was like a Technicolor movie's like, where did that come from? There's a lot there. There's a lot underneath, and we, you know, we're like the tip. Our conscious minds sometimes are like the tip of the iceberg. I remember one dream that I had that was so vivid and so many colors. I still, you know, I don't know what kind of brain chemistry was going on in my head that night, but wow, it was I was like walking through a mansion that had all these things in it, and they were just like paths that you were trying to get through all these things, or else it was an antique store, something like that. But I mean, it was that cluttered, but the detail that I remember was like, and these are not things I've ever seen before. Where's all that coming from? It's coming from the subconscious. um, it's coming from down there, it's so one of the tricks with scrying is learning to trust your intuition. Things come to your mind, and take a look at that, you know. And if nothing comes, that's okay. One of the biggest and most important things about meditation and scrying and trance work is do not judge. Do not evaluate how successful you were. It is what it is. You record, like if you're recording it in a grimoire or a journal or something, you record how you did, what happened, what you might saw or experienced or thought. No evaluation, no comparisons. You record and you move on. When you have done this for a while, you go back and you start to look for the patterns, because there will be patterns that emerge. Things will come up more than once. Just like when you do tarot readings. I've been doing a single card of the day for at least a couple months. I have drawn the Queen of Swords 3 times.
Wow.
And those things happen. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. Things can't come up today. I had the 6 of Pentacles today, so I guess it was a good day. I'm still learning about all that. I'm glued to my golden, what's it called? My app. What's this app called? Golden Thread. The Golden Thread tarot. They have a tarot database. I use that. And then my Pinterest boards. Okay.
I kept drawing the hunter for the longest time. 9 times in 1 month.
Wow.
That was all about change coming, using abilities you have. And
as far as suits, I get way more cups and pentacles than I do anything else, and that's probably typical for me. Okay, now on one side, if you have anything that you feel like you received from the goddess, you write that. On the other side, what would you like to ask the goddess, or what would you like to ask for, or what would you just simply like to say to the god and the goddess? What would your conscious mind like to say to that, your divine within right now? So just spend a few moments now and jot down a message.
Is this more in the lines of a yes or no question, or is this
whatever you want, dear? It could be as simple as, I love you and I want to be closer to you. Or it could be, asking about a specific situation. What would I do in this situation? Give me some guidance. So whatever you would like to ask. And then what I think I'm going to do with mine, I'm going to save this for Sunday at the actual full moon. And now that we've got better weather, now that my cauldron is pretty well dried out on the deck, it's not full of water like it's been for months, with the rain and stuff. It's dried out. So and it's not so cold that I can't go out on the deck to do that. But I will burn it in my cauldron and send the message that way. So let's just take a moment to write our message to the god and goddess.
But the burning of it is better to wait until Monday or Sunday?
Well, it's the fullness of the full moon. So okay. You can do it tonight. You can do it now because we're almost at the full moon. Yeah, you can do it tonight. Doing it at the full moon is like the maximum energy for that, but it's pretty close. You know, if you were to do it like a week or so ago, the energy is not quite as good as it would be for tonight or Sunday night or whatever.
When it burns and the smoke goes in a certain direction, do you know what it means when it goes left or right or?
The wind is blowing in that direction. I wouldn't read anything into that. You think too much.
No, there is a whole thing that is about that. About the direction that the smoke blows when you are burning, even in candles. If there is black smoke that comes when you've burned something, that's usually meaning it's burning away some negativity. If it's going in a certain direction, if it's blowing erratically, usually there's a meaning behind it. I have to go back and look at all the stuff that I have for my candle magic stuff. There was a section on
I
that.
guess I generally don't work with that sort of thing just because I know that it is based on wind direction,
Which is,
chemical content, um, eddies in the air that we can't see. I don't think it's in the same realm as like what a pendulum does.
I think there's still an association that you can make because there's a natural element. But no, I understand where you're coming from.
I think I have. Oh, I'm sorry. I think your audio. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear you, Marcia. I don't know if it's just cut out for me though, or if it's the same for you, Cassie.
Can you hear me okay, Cassie?
I can, but you do cut out sometimes. It's when you're leaning forward that I can hear you best.
I just do not like to have my face fill the entire screen. I will speak up. I will speak up. I will speak louder. Okay. All right. So we have our wish card, our deity card, our divine card with a divine message and our message from and message to the God and the goddess. And later we can take these and burn these in this 3-day window around the full moon when the energy is at its maximum. My purple candle, I will leave it to burn until it goes all the way down. Anything else either of you would like to share? We have not really talked in this ritual about which deities we may address. I kind of, put it out there kind of generically. I know that we each have a patron deity, god, goddess that we may be working with. I tend to work with Hecate because she kind of came along and swept aside everybody else and says, I'm in all of them too, so just stick with me. She kind of made that real clear, like sure, you can continue to work with Artemis, Apollo, Thoth, and Hermes, and Kuan Yin, and Ra, and Isis. You can continue to work with those 7, or I'm in all of them. Okay. And so it was like, okay. That's kind of how it happened. So
I can see that logic.
So we have made our connection. We have done our scrying. You may wish to, on your own later on, I think I'm going to do some dark mirror scrying tonight. My dark mirror. I have not gone back to journaling with my dark mirror, but as we're starting up this magical study group, the group is I will send you an invite, Stevana. The group is just called Summerland Magic with a K.
Okay.
And so I will send you an invite to that. But
thank you.
In the light of working more with the book by Amber Kay, True Magic, she goes into, it says a beginner's guide, but I don't think it's quite the beginner's guide. I think it's, she goes through a lot of types of magic and has some exercises. And it's just kind of a good way, I think, to ramp up what people are already doing. I definitely want to, with that was my wish on my card, actually, to connect more with the divine for this purpose. You know, you've heard me say before that as we grow closer to our divine self, our divine within, the God and the goddess, we have the power of the universe that we can tap into and to use that. We do not ever stand alone in our magic. We are working with the elements. We're working with the God and the goddess. And the closer that we are to all of those, and to our ancestors, and to our any spirit guides or spirit animals or whatever that we feel that we are connected with, the more we have a team on board, the more effective we're going to be. It's just simply the way it is. So the dark mirror scrying is a way for me to connect more with the divine and to listen to my divine within and what my divine within is saying to me. And so I'm hoping to incorporate that into my practices. And now we have done our work. We have set it on its path. We'll be burning our talisman later that we've put in our message to the divine and the message received from the divine. And that draws us closer together as we burn it and send that energy out. So I will bring I will raise my athame again. And we thank the God and the goddess who are in our hearts and in our being, in our breath, in our blood, in our warmth, and in our hearts, our spirits, our minds. The God and the goddess is there. We thank you for witnessing our right and for giving us messages and for loving us. Hail and farewell.
Hail
Yeah.
and farewell.
And we thank the earth, 2 feet on the floor, connected to the earth, for grounding us, for the stability to move forward, to walk our path on a firm ground. We thank you for your presence and our right. Hail and farewell.
Hail and
farewell.
farewell.
And to the element of water, as blood flows through our veins, water flows through everything, flows around us and in us. We thank you for witnessing our right and for helping us to transform our hearts ever closer to the divine. Hail and farewell.
Hail
and
farewell.
farewell.
To the element of fire, we seek to draw our hearts closer to the divine, that divine love, that passion for the divine within. And we thank you for working with us in our right as we received our messages and sent messages. Hail and farewell.
Hail.
Hail and
Farewell.
farewell.
Element of air, the air we breathe. Our voices have spoken, and we have received messages through each other in our ritual this night. We thank you for your inspiration. Hail and farewell.
Hail.
Hail and
Farewell.
farewell.
And now our circle is open but never broken. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Meet again.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay!
So mote it be.
So might it be?
Would it be?